to save his team. Will he be able to do that? You'll see soon.
We'll see soon. Let's see which map we're going to be playing on here. I believe, given my Warhammer references, that it will be Cadia, where the guardsmen will not fall before the planet itself.
Oh, no,
it's Clubhouse.
It's Club Cadia House.
Clubhouse.
I don't know Warhammer. I'm just trying to make you feel involved. I'm sorry.
Thank you very much, Fluke. You know,
I bullied you earlier for doing dabs.
I don't know Warhammer either. I'm sorry.
I'm all alone on this one. But you know what? I'm sure somebody in chat is nerdy enough to know this. Let's toss it to our game. Will it be the 13th Crusade or the 12th one all over again? Let's toss it to our casters. Geo Dev, please save the day.
We can try, Milosh, but Dev, I don't know anything about Warhammer. Do you?
I was into Warhammer when I was a teenager,
God.
but I still don't get any of the references that Milosh is talking about.
I don't know anything about Warhammer, and Milosh is screaming in our ears about something that neither of us know or really care about. But what we do care about is this game against Rogue and Vitality.
Yeah, look at that, 65% for the busy bees over in Vitality. I gotta say, a lot of our, we haven't really had time to do our talent team predictions before the games, but I noticed that we still have that document, right? We still have our spreadsheet. People were really keen on Rogue. They thought Aces is back, and I think everyone except for, me was saying Rogue. I think you maybe put Vitality as well.
I think I put Vitality.
There you go. I really think Vitality is super favored here, and guess what? We're on a Clubhouse, which is where Vitality managed to draw against BDS, the first blood that BDS drew throughout the entire of Stage 2. It was at the hands of Vitality. They've come in, they're looking much better with these roster changes. I'm keen as to see if they can carve up Rogue, who are yet to find a single point in Stage 2.
Yeah, they're really putting all their eggs into the basket of Aces is back, we have to turn things around now. And they certainly aren't wrong. They have to turn things around now. They don't have any time to fix that. But there's no saying for definite yet that the issues with the team holistically that we've seen so far in Stage 2 have been because of that. I mean, Hosty was playing pretty well, but today is the day where we are going to learn. Obviously, the operator bans are in full force, and so far with Maverick, Monty, Malusi, and maybe Mira to make the 4 M's. I don't know.
Please.
Let's find out. It's gonna be
You had to ruin it, Vitality. Come on, mate. You had one job. M, that was the theme of tonight. Didn't you guys get the reference? All right, well, I'm going to break into these. Maverick is a pretty common ban on Clubhouse, of course. It's not necessarily Vitality's go-to, though. We've seen quite a few come out from them. Thatcher was what they banned against BDS. They've done Capitao in the past, Maverick as well. Maverick just changes the landscape of hard breach situation, which is super imperative on Clubhouse, and it means we're likely to see that Thatcher +2 hard breaches every single round. Maverick is actually a good one because not only does it completely deny that bandit trick, and it also means that you can destroy catered hatches. It does take some time, but you can get through it. But also you get the 2 nades, which are really good for clearing utils, such as those Goyo shields and Malusis, which are both banned. And I feel like that maybe that Maverick ban weighed into those as well. But for Vitality's side, I know you want to get on this year, but I want to mention the Monty ban. Which is not a super common one. Not one we've seen a lot before from Rogue. In fact, their usual go-to here on Clubhouse is Capitao. But we saw how good Vitality were in Stage 1 against Tempera on Clubhouse using this Monty. I think that's why Rogue banned it out.
Well, what I'm particularly interested in is the fact that Vitality have decided to come to Gym Bedroom straight away, and this was the site that they really took advantage of BDS on. Now, interestingly, part of the reason that they were able to do that was because they had a Thatcher banned out that time, and BDS were relying on the Kali. Not so much a problem here. So it could be that things go a bit different, but Vitality, particularly Rise, who was playing the Valkyrie at the time, this time it's going to be Fabian, had a very strong presence in Gym that basically made it impossible for BDS to push on through the Jacuzzi wall. They then later in the round tried to go and take server. That was also too late, and it completely splintered BDS's attempts at an attack. I want to see if they can recreate this here against Rogue.
Yeah, that BDS Vitality game the other day, Vitality went flawless defending Gym Bedroom, so definitely a tall order here for Rogue, but I would hope that they watch that match. It's probably the best we've seen from Vitality in quite a long time, And if there's any match that Rousty and the lads from Rogue would be studying, it's definitely that one right there. So they should have an idea of what to expect coming into this round. As you mentioned, the Maverick was banned that time, so a bit of a different landscape. But nonetheless, I digress. Rogue starting to take control from this cash side, something you said that BDS did somewhat struggle with previously. And it's typically a step number one for a lot of teams on attacking this bomb site. You try and push from cash so you have some kind of presence and you can deny CCTV runouts and peeks from that window. You can also push in through con in the late round. And Rogue are fully dedicating to this.
Very much so. Obviously, you still have Bibu and Goga present. Goga's narrowly missing the nade, but that will, of course, get rid of the bandit batteries that he had present on the cash wall. They themselves haven't been flushed out yet, but with 3 players of Rogue on this side of the map and Ace is just flanking around through bar.
What a read.
There's still a strong
Ace's
presence.
knows. He knows that Fabian's on the flank here. I don't know whether he droned it or whether this is a tendency read from Rogue, whether they know that Fabian likes to go for these late flanks. But this has been perfectly cut off. And now it just comes down to, does Fabian have info? Is there a black guy somewhere in bar that's calling out to him that Aces is watching this angle? Because if not, I think Fabian's going to fall directly into his hands.
It would be very difficult for Vitality, given how much prowess they've shown on this site in the past. But Fabian's not rushing into any decision just yet. He's ready and waiting. Rogue, they're now in the final minute of the round, and without Aces nearby, they don't have the EMPs, but it doesn't matter. So far, they still managed to get Selma onto the jacuzzi wall, and that shouldn't shunt them too much. Ace is still holding onto the angle, and here comes Fabian. He's going to catch him out. There's the opening kill, and now he can move on. Goga turns things around onto Leon as Rogue still make their way in, and Vitality still holding on to logistics.
Aces proves that patience is a virtue, but Rogue, they're running out of time on this attack. 20 seconds left, just under. It's ticking away second by second, and they have to make a push. Jumping in through con, it's Corey. Aces finds his second. This is huge. Karzeka wants to find that plant. That's the last gas gone down, but the plant denied, and Aces as well through logistics. This is perfect. Rise steps up massively, and Corey left with it all to do. There's just about nothing he can grab onto, and Vitality, they take round number 1.
So much time was spent by Rogue over on the other side of the map, and even then, while they were able to get rid of Fabian, that was the only thing that they achieved for the most part in a really long time. You still had players in logistics, players surrounding the sites. Bibu and Goga were still alive. I mean, Goga responded to that kill pretty swiftly. So by the time that you should be moving in, looking to make a plant, things like that, you still have nearly an entire team of Vitality waiting for you.
The 2 huge players that round for the defense of Vitality was definitely Hungry and Rise at the end of it. Hungry playing the smoke, and I noted that he'd used all 3 of his gases reasonably early, and they weren't there for the plant denial, but Rise was. I think he just swung out inside Master to deny that plant going down in gym. And it was those 2 anchors that really held down the fort, especially since Rogue found the 2 opening picks thanks to Aces. So good stuff from Vitality here. And as I mentioned, funnily enough, for Rogue, patience is a virtue. But with Aces watching Fabian's rotate for, what, I think it was about 40 seconds, it actually meant that Rogue really ran out of time for that execute and ended up getting the better of them. So we'll see if that proves to be a persistent issue for Rogue. Of course, they're coming into this after that roster change, or I guess unintended roster change. They've been playing with Hosty thanks to Aces' temporary brand. He's back in, but they'll be a little bit under practice with him.
And that's the thing, a lot of people are really excited about the fact that Aces is back in the roster. As are we, obviously. It's really nice to see him. He is one of the best performing players on this team, but there's still that risk of things not being fully meshed right now as they're kind of out of practice. Leon Gids is making his way in towards bar as he was following Karzeka's drone, and that gives him the opportunity to just open up the floor above the bottom of main stairs.
See what the players from Rogue. It's a downstairs defense for Vitality. Full anchor strategy. Actually, wait, was there a player upstairs? Indeed. Thank you, medics. Hungry. Solo roaming. Surely Rogue sees this. At the moment, they're not just fully droning out the whole map before they enter. They take control of the ground floor, and I think that they have completely missed the fact that Hungry is solo roaming upstairs, and that could be detrimental.
They were so ready for Fabian last time, and it seems that it's almost the entire opposite this time. As the hatch in bar begins to get open, they don't know that the black eye is right there, so Hungry has full information as to the location of these players. Kajeka and Leon running around in bar, and they may just face the MPX in their face as he moves down the main stairs.
Good time management on the bomb site here for Rogue, breaching open the various hatches, Leon getting to work on the floor, but there is this X factor, that wild cut. Oh, Leon spotted him! Maddox, you're a genius for catching that! And now Hungry, the jig is up and he rotates back, but I don't think they're gonna chase him. Surely they can just get something to watch this flank and still pressure the side. Bibu is the first victim. Once again, Aces start strong. He is traded back. And this is a very early execute, but I don't actually think it is the execute as of yet for Rogue.
Pre-place C4, I say pre-place, he puts it down on the floor so that he can look in and try and catch out any of those attackers who may move on through, but it's going to be Goga getting the next kill for the side of Vitality as they now find themselves in a 3 versus 3. Rise is very low HP, but Hungry does find the prey he's looking for, and that means the diffuser has now been dropped. This is a very difficult situation for Rogue, who just continue to be gunned down. Only Corey remains. He catches one. That's Rise. Now he just has to look for Goga and Hungry, as he's so far from the diffuser at this point. 30 seconds still remain, and there's time that he sees one of his potential victims. He's just got to try and take the swing, but Goga's ready with the knife. Vitality take round number 2.
That was a 1v1 on site, so I thought maybe, especially because you notice Maestro ran out of bullets with both of his weapons. The Aldo, you're never going to reload that. The Bailiff, same deal. I thought that was actually winnable for Corey. Yeah, he didn't have diffuser, but it's a 1v1 on site, and he had time to salvage that if he got that kill. But yeah, I mean, Goga's just going to give him a nice old slap in the face. What a round. I will say, I hadn't expected that you'd be able to have a player like Hungry do as he did, roam solo upstairs. Like, there was literally no support, no other player there. He had a camera in bar which he could flick onto for info to execute his flank. That was great, but he didn't have any mute jammers, no denial whatsoever. And Rogue focused on clearing the ground floor, the first floor, rather than going full top down. What you would typically do is try and get your hard breaches into the ground floor so they can start getting to work on breaching things open, while some of your other players are still trying to clear up top. You try and do everything at once, because if you just go methodically, all right, clear top, clear middle, and then start executing, you're going to run out of time. And I think Rogue kind of missed that little step there, which was double-checking the top floor. Thankfully, Karzeka flicked onto his drone at the perfect time. Otherwise, I think that Hungry would have had an even bigger impact, but that fact that he was able to open up the floor with his C4 and take the kill onto Karzeka, who was in bar, dropping the moto hatch, and that was diffuser, that made that roam super impactful.
It's one of those instances where Hungry being caught out made you worried, because you thought, oh man, now, as you said, the jig is up. What can you do at this point? But it forced him into a different position that meant that the way he could use the C4 to open up the floor, he had the perfect angle down to bring the diffuser to the ground for the side of Rogue. Well, now Vitality have moved over to their third bomb site, and that's going to be CCTV for them. Rogue, who are so desperately looking for a win, can't let this one slip through their fingers, because, as a lot of people like to note, if you make a full cycle where you can successfully defend all 3 sites you're going to, it doesn't look good for the attackers.
To reinforce that for Rogue, they were first place in Europe in Stage 1. 19 points. They haven't found a single point in Stage 2, and as such have dropped overall in the 2020 standings to 7th, which is just crazy. But a good attack so far. They've had good attacks. Both of these ones they've lost have been good. Just narrow margins. Vitality have looked like the better team, but there's still a chance here. A very good one here. As Rogue have made these close. Semi-successful trick here. I'm not sure. I think it was the Electroclaws that would have gotten that one and prevented the subsequent explosions from the Selmas, but Karzeka will finish that off with a second one in the bag. And 1 minute 35, Bandit. There you go. Medic says it was Bandit who managed to trick that one. That's pretty good overall from Rogue.
to remember, of course, Fabian is still over on the garage rafters with Hungry just below him, and it looks like Corey's getting prepared to deal with this as he just edges his drone around the corner, trying to find where those players may be. Hungry's moved very slightly out of the picture, but they know someone is upstairs. There we go. Fabian has shown himself, and Hungry as well, actually. So Corey's got to pick a victim. There's the first one. You can't yet find the second, and in fact, Fabian will ensure that he is taken down in a trade 1-for-1. Rogue do have the opportunity to take control of Garage now, as Aces is the next one to fall, and it's a 2 versus 3 in Vitality's favor. Rise gets aggressive into construction, but Kajeka was ready and waiting as he prepares to maybe open up the construction wall. It's currently electrified, and that can't be dealt with without the Thatcher.
Oof, wow. Shots through the floor. It takes a lot of damage. Leon in a decent position here. Nothing impeding him from walking up red except for the player ready to receive at the top. A close range engagement, and Leon's favored on account of having that one-time sight. He doesn't know where the player is, checks the corner. Kazeka's in a gunfight elsewhere, and the TCSG cleans up the final 2 players. Bibu, a great round by the end of it, and Vitality maintain 3 straight defenses.
It's just like I said, this is really concerning now for Rogue, because Vitality can begin the cycle again. They can just go straight back to the beginning, which is what they will do on Gym Bedroom. And sure, Rogue can figure out where their problems were before, but Vitality just look really strong.
It's funny, isn't it? I'm having a look at my beautiful spreadsheet. And the first 3 rounds that we've seen thus far, Rogue have found the opening kill every single time, and Vitality has won the round every single time. Vitality is so good at clawing back these leads. Great trades. In that round in particular, Corey took advantage of players exposed in garage. He found 2 kills. Admittedly, the second one was a direct trade. Him and Fabian finished each other off simultaneously. But from that point, Vitality kept fighting back, getting that man advantage back onto their side. By the end of it, Kazeka and Corey with a final 2 left. Oh, sorry, Leon. Kazeka and Leon with a final 2 left, unable to close it out. I digress. We return to Gym and Bedroom. Vitality, once again, this is a strong bomb site for them. Undefeated in their previous playday against BDS, no less, and they've actually changed something more. Fabian himself switched off the Valkyrie and onto this Mirror. If I have a geese over at the previous playday, Mirror was unbanned, but also unutilized by Vitality on their entire defensive half.
I actually remember Mirror being utilized by Vitality back in stage 1. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head against who it was, but I do remember it was pretty early on, and the way that they placed the Mirror windows, very similarly here, how you have one on the logistics construction wall, and then very classically on the bathroom wall as well. And I believe it was Fabian at the time who was also playing it. So it's something that Vitality like to do, but it's obviously different from what we've seen them do on their gym defense recently that has worked out so well for them.
If we recall Rogue's previous attack, it pushed in through Cash. Fabian once again roaming. I like this. He's playing the Mirror, but he's doing the same job as he did on the Valkyrie. It makes no difference to him that he's a 1-speed. He can take up the same position, chuck down those Mirror windows in the prep phase, and then he's basically just Valkyrie. He's still got the C4. A bit slower, but that's okay. Rogue focusing up on this Jacuzzi side. Leon with the Tesla holoscope, as we call it. And that'll enable the... Sorry, what was that?
So Jess calls it the Cybertruck.
Cybertruck, I like that. And Ace is just watching this window. This is a pivotal position. This balcony is super powerful, but that window is the only exposed position. That's one of the reasons why a lot of teams will take control, open up that kennel's wall, but Aces instead is just taking the angle. A difficult fight to take, though. Bibu could win the shot if he feels it.
You notice actually Corey's not far away as he's just rappelling up onto Garage, so I wonder if he's going to stay in that general area of the map. But it's actually going to be Rise who's the first one to fall.
Wow, this is great. 2 of the most impactful players for Vitality are already down. Rise was the one to deny the plant and find a 2k previous defense for this bomb site. Bibu wants to bite something off. He takes a crack at Aces and lands the shot. 3 versus 4 now for Vitality. Still not unwinnable. Hungry's the lone player on site. Fabian's roam nets him one. 3v3 numbers are quality now. Great breaches onto the site from Rogue. This might be their chance, but Karzeka, he wants to try and find this plant. Great cover from Rips now. Fabian goes down. Vitality can't deny this plant.
Rips knows he can continue forward, but actually, as I say that, Hungry takes him. Vitality do find themselves in a post-plant situation right now, but with Karzeka bleeding out, it's just Corey they really have to deal with, and obviously there's two remaining defenders. They can just have one of them watching out for the angle while the other gets prepared with the disable. That's what's happening, and it looks like Hungry's gonna do it. Vitality take a 4th round, and Rogue still scraping for something.
I feel like the pattern just continues and continues. Rogue establish themselves an early advantage. They find the opening kill. They have great ground, a great attack overall. And Vitality always bites back in the mid to late rounds. In particular there, a 2 versus 3. I didn't think that was possible, but for Vitality, they didn't have the plant denial. Despite having a lot of good 1v1s, Fabian on the roam, taking out Leon, trying to rotate through bar and late flank the main stairs. But Vitality didn't have that plant style that they were looking for, and it came down to a post plant. But they managed to polish off Karzeka as he was running back from the plant, and that injure really made it possible. I also want to note how smart it was from those two final Vitality players to cover in that post plant. I believe it was, or what was it, Goga and Hungry? Or Hungry and Bieber, I think. Really, really lovely the way that they didn't try and find the final player left. It was simply, okay, you defuse, and Bieber, who's got the better gun, he's got the 416 on Jaeger, he's just going to sit there basically on the player who's defusing, and he's just going to watch whatever angle, because they don't have info on where that rogue player is. So if he pushes through Jacuzzi, the Jaeger is always making sure that he is in a position between the diffuser and that player, and that meant that even when he died, he had done his job. He enabled that diffuser to get disabled.
Working really well together, and as you mentioned, just so many holes in what it is Rogue are trying to do. The early advantages are great, but if they can't turn it into control, there's only so much that you can hold on to when it comes to the late round. That seems to be where Vitality are really holding strong right now. Back down into the basement. This is where before we saw Vitality have Hungry on the roam. This time he's going to be playing Mirror. Not in the hands of Fabian anymore, but it also means that likely he's down in the basement with everyone else, and it does look like that is the case.
Interesting gamble here from Rogue. They decided not to bring the Thatcher for the first round here. They've got aces on one of his comfort picks, the Ash. And they did that because there was no Kaid in the lineup, as opposed to the previous time. What is that? Leon, this is disgusting. Stop it. Bibu's like, okay, note to self, do not move. This is my corner. This is my safe space. Do not move out of my safe space. But as I was saying, the Kaid was not picked by Vitality. They showed that in the operator reveal phase. And Rogue decided, okay, it doesn't matter. We don't need to bring the Thatcher. A bit of a gamble. Vitality could have 6-picked onto that Kaid, and then it would have been really hard for Rogue to open these hatches.
Karzeka's drone not yet being spotted as Rogue look out to see who might be down in which bomb sites, and Aces throws in the flashbangs to help facilitate what will likely be a blue push. You see Goga's ready and waiting for anyone in kitchen. The hatch is still intact, and I'm assuming he has impact grenades in pocket. Yes, he does. It's Corey. His job is to push down through blue. Nice wide rotate there means that he could find himself catching someone out as long as he plays this patiently, but you have to remember the mirror window is right next to him in Armory.
He has a good position. Vitality overall have a really good setup though. I really like this mirror window. It basically denies that bottom main stairs position. Even if someone gets in there, Bibu could potentially call over Hungry to toss a C4 over, but Corey, he's in such a good position. He's just waiting for someone to move, try and peek Moto. I don't think they're going to. A smoke grenade denies that mirror window. Great position there. You can see Goga just pre-firing through that smoke, and Aces, he's the first one to make a move, takes down Bibu.
They're trying to play aggressively, and Rise is also going to be bleeding out. Leon should be able to take advantage as he pushes into Church. This is what happens, and now this could be Rogue's turn to make things flow in their direction. Just Fabian remains on the side of Vitality. He has to move forward. He can't quite secure the first kill as Karzeka goes in with the plant. once the flashes subside, there's a flawless round from Rogue.
Wow.
And suddenly, maybe the momentum might start to shift.
Yeah, wow. I was just praising Vitality. Lovely setup there you've got. In particular, really great for holding bottom main stairs. Kitchen push is going to be kind of difficult, I guess. And lots of good stacking on the bomb site from Vitality. They've got all the 5 there instead of just the 4 previously. But Rogue, they had some really good life problems. Something that I remember talking to their coach about after their game when they beat BDS in stage 1. It was the coach was saying, look, it's actually a lot of this just teaching the players how to problem solve live in game. So in that particular situation, hey, there's a mirror window on blue. We can't really push down that. Well, we've got a smoke grenade. Why don't we just chuck a smoke grenade down blue? We'll have 2 players push, Aces from Oil Pit and Corey from the blue stairs. Meanwhile, they can really nullify a lot of those positions inside of Church while we have 2 people execute into Church through Moto. And you're basically nullifying a lot of those players near the dummies and Armory on Vitality. And as such, they were able to execute onto that bomb site really well, take that control directly away. And we'll pull off a flawless round, which is a lovely change of tide here for Rogue, who have had 4 really strong attacks that they just couldn't cut through.
Certainly, and I think it's quite notable the fact they've decided to keep Aces on Ash for this time round as well. I really like the aggression with which Corey and Aces will work together to push down into blue, and it was something that works very well for their playstyle and just the way they like to roll. So with Aces back on Ash as well and no longer taking position on Thatcher, it could be something else that they decide to bring out here, just thinking, all right, we know where our strengths are. We're not going to try and second guess everything. We're not going to try and play to some specific strategy. Let's just play to what we know we can do.
Yeah, Ace has definitely popped off on the Ash last round. The Thatcher utility wasn't so relevant for that defensive setup from Vitality, but I think it is relevant here. In particular, Vitality have 2 operators for wall denial, and there's not a lot from Rogue to counter that. In particular, the Kennels wall will probably be quite difficult to breach. You don't really have anything to just remove the static wall denial on that, unless if you go below, and that takes time. And I feel, yeah, there you go. There's even a mute jammer. There's 3 wall denial operators. I think it's going to be really hard here for Rogue to breach either. Look at that. There's a mute jam or a shield. Like, Goga's ready to trick that. There's so much here for Vitality. And then you've got the cash wall into construction as well, and that's got wall denial on it too. So I feel like it's going to be really difficult for Rogue to get over. They're probably going to have to try and nade over the top or something. And that's a really finicky kind of util.
Very much so, because of course, if it fails, they have very narrow avenues that they have to try and push in through. That make it very hard, because when you're funneled through those kinds of channels, the defenders can just basically wait with a gun pointed at your head and shoot you down as you come in. So they're getting ready to go in from below. It looks like potentially going to shoot them out or nade them out. I'm sorry.
Rise moves position, and that saves his life. You saw that drone, and that's what gave him the knowledge to move out of that position. That's both of Leon's nades. I thought that maybe they would go below to clear out the util from that wall, but you can see Karzek. Okay, that's what they're going to do now. So Aces breaches underneath that construction wall, but the claw is clear at the top of the wall. Okay, he does manage to destroy 1 side worth, and Karzeka does follow that up with a Selma to breach, but Vitality still have some really strong positions on site, and they need to be aware of this flank from Hungary as well.
Flank from Hungary, we've seen that one before, and especially with Rogue flirting around the downstairs area, although it doesn't actually look like they're going to be doing that much more, but even so, Hungary could well catch Aces out now if he decides to commit to coming in through stock. There are the smokes to start things off, and Leon Gids will actually be the first death. Karzeka adding on to that, and Rips as well. Vitality just gunning down the members of Rogue who begin to come in. Corey's going to attempt to pull things back, but with Aces falling as well, once again, he's left as the last member. Vitality are just looking so dominating.
Wow, that was a great way to close that out. In fact, that was the very first round that Vitality found the opening pick, and wow, it was a slew of opening picks, really, if we look at it. They completely retook construction out of Rogue's control, where Rogue, primarily, their focus was to execute into cash from Con. They tried to clear out any players who were inside cash, particularly it was the Valkyrie player of Rise. They just opened up a wall breach onto site. And then it was like, okay, well, we're going to have 2 players try and go downstairs and flank up maybe garage or red stairs while our main pushes through con. And that's a great strategy, but Vitality just bit their heads right off and retook con really aggressive play, completely took that away from them. And that locked it out. 5-1 half on Vitality's defense. This is much better than the 3-3 that they managed to get against BDS. And honestly, I think it positions them incredibly strongly here, Gio, to take this map outright.
Looks like it. They only need 2 more rounds. And even though I was lauding the fact that they had a really strong defense against BDS earlier in the week, that by no means mean that they've had a weak attack so far. So Rogue, who are deciding to go for a slightly different approach to what Vitality did when they came down to this site, opted to bring Legion and Alibi, both of whom are carrying impact nades. So not only can that help prevent hatches being open, most notably the kitchen hatch, but also you have more protection on the church wall as well.
Yeah, it's a very much different interpretation we're seeing here from Rogue. Vitality very much did a turtle or an anchor style defense, and yes, they did add that spice of hungry roaming on the Valkyrie in that first attempt, but aside from that, it's very much turtle defense, whereas Rogue here are going for something more akin to an SSG roam. Basically just they're roaming the entire map. They're trying to play all kinds of information denial with rips. They've got the Legion, which is a bit of info gathering, and Leon can also jump up hatches to reflank late in the round, and he becomes a very difficult roamer to isolate. But Rogue, at the moment, I think they've mostly retreated. In fact, is that complete retreat to the basement floor? Leon's still upstairs on the ground floor, but he could drop down to the moto hatch really easily. This is a pretty early retreat from Rogue, 50 seconds in.
Oh, one of the really concerning things, though, is both Corey and Aces have taken so much damage this early on. So despite the fact that they've retreated and they're now with their fellow teammates, they have to deal with the fact that once Vitality all come to a head with them, when they reach the site, they're going to be significantly weakened at that point.
We can see that while we have the outlines and we have the top-down view, and we know that Rogue have completely gone back to site, aside from Leon here, far. Vitality has no idea. And they're spending, well, a further 40 seconds since everyone from Rogue, aside from Leon, went downstairs, still droning it out. And look at that. Oh, almost a miss drone. Leon takes it out and he drops down. Look at that hungry, fully out of drones. Only 4 left for Vitality. And they're not even ready for the execute. Yes, they don't need to breach Moto Hatch. That's great. That makes things a bit easier. But there is still so much work to do. Rogue should have this.
You've still got Hungry outside. There's the Prisma right inside of storage as well. Looks like that's been dealt with. They know, of course, that there is still the chance of the late flank. I don't think it's going to happen at this point, but you're incredibly right. The fact there's still so much presence from Vitality upstairs. You can see a lot of the floor that Rise is now working on. He's only just starting on that now as Goga drops down to this ground floor for the first time.
So what is the execute, Vitality? You got 40 seconds to make it happen, and this is honestly the first round that Vitality have looked to be struggling. They don't have a really solid execute set up. Fabian may try to breach the church wall. That would be huge. Great, another second Black Eye taken out, and he's just going to chuck all of these Selmas onto the church wall. It'll have to be a massacre in the final seconds for Vitality.
Yeah, looks like it didn't work out though. Goga, he's just narrowly trying to peek into church, but Leon gets his ready and waiting as he takes a swing in, but it doesn't work. Vitality are just going to gun Rogue down when they look like they were being so slow.
Oh
Goga didn't even need to finish the plan. Vitality, flawless on the attack.
That was gobsmacking. I don't even know what to say to that. I'd set up every expectation for that round to swing the way of Rogue. They had wasted so much of Vitality's time, but when push came to shove, Vitality won every single fight. A perfect execute with 14 seconds left to go in the round when Hungry found that opening kill. That was ridiculous. That was insane. And Vitality are on match point.
A 7-1 if they are to win this next round. Rogue, who were obviously hoping that this second half of the stage was going to be their turning point, unless they pull out a miracle right now. It absolutely does not look like that is what it is going to be. Coming up to CCTV, they're going to have to pull something out of every orifice to turn this in their favor.
I'm still trying to get over that round. There was like, it was rush Moto. 2 players just push Moto. They both win their fights. Just flood the site. You've basically exposed everyone in church. You've got someone bottom main stairs. The church wall is ashes thanks to the ace. And I think you had 1 or 2 players drop the blue hatch at the end there. It was a 5v5, 15 seconds left. I mean, I know people talk about the 20-second meta, but that was just something else, man. And yeah, as you said, Vitality on match point. They're positioned so well here. Rogue, despite a great defense that round, aside from the final 15 seconds, they abandon any notion of retrying Church and go straight to cash. Vitality, or they've got everything in their favor. They've got 5 rounds buffer, but I don't think they want to use it. All season, Vitality have let their lead slip. 2 games, they've been on match point and let it subside to a draw. Admittedly, not from a lead this significant, but they can't even let the idea of a draw be on the cards now. They've got to close it out ASAP.
I mean, one of the big stories for Vitality was that they were struggling last time. Oh, first Selma going to be denied as Corey was ready with the impact. But one of the big stories for Vitality was the fact that they needed that first stage to really mesh because they were a new team. They made these huge changes, new leadership with Fabian. The question was, can they turn that around in stage 2? And honestly, as stage 2 has gone on, they have only looked stronger and stronger as they very quickly get the server wall open as well.
And the flip side of that is Rogue. Well, they're going back to their proper roster, their core roster. Aces, his temporary ban has elapsed and he's back. And he's not back, he's gone. Good night, see you later.
Yeah, bye.
All right, so that's another way to start it for Vitality. That's the 3rd round this entire game where they found the opening pick. And they've won every time they have. So this spells doom for Rogue. So much still on the table for them to try and reclaim, but coming back from a 1-6, such a difficult position. They still got a Roma. What's the garage situation like? Must be clear. Hungry must know Rafters is clear. Otherwise, he wouldn't be peeking this aggressively. Thank you, medics. The player who died was indeed in Rafters, and they know that they've got that for free.
Well, I was going to say, they already sent 2 drones up there. I think it was Bibu had sent one up. So they knew that anyway, but not in any form of a rush. And it's also interesting because Rogue have committed quite a bit of utility towards construction door. They have 2 ADSs in there, which means there was just 1 here present in the garage rafters, but there isn't going to be any present closer to the site, especially as Vitality look like that. Oh, Corey got caught out.
No.
He got seen. He's
absolutely rattled. 30 seconds. Goga's going to thermite onto side. Vitality have everything they need. In a 5v3, this looks like it might be the closer.
They're starting to move on in. The kills come in as they just get prepared to put down the diffuser, but it's not even needed. I can't even finish my sentence before Vitality win the round. A 7-1, absolutely disgusting scoreline against the team who so desperately needed a win.
No need to put down the diffuser, Gio. That's because Vitality just put down Rogue. 2 attacks in a row after a 5-1 defense closes a stellar performance from this mixed nationality team who are clearly proving that they are one of the best teams to be feared in Europe. Despite taking some time to get used to the new roster, it looks like there's new Vitality in town and they're bloody scary.
Yeah, you remember back at the start of stage 1 when people were talking about super teams? Vitality was a name that was in that, and suddenly people were like, maybe we overestimated them. No. They just needed some time, because right now, as you say, James, they look terrifying. But Milos, let's throw it over to you to hear what our analysts have to say.
Thanks so much, Gio. Yes, indeed. We just